Yeah, man, how you doing? You good? I know you like that. I know you like that. How long you been back, man? I see the girls in the club, they getting wild for me. And all the pretty chicks all wanna smile at me. These rap cats, man, they all got this out for
What
me.
up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up?
And when this beat drop, I know they gon' lean. World debut, I know they gon' fiend. Everything Mississippi to the Palm Springs. Girls from brunettes down to blonde queens. These young boys don't know what a Don mean. I'm just a bad boy gone clean. I'm the diamond chain.
We are live on the Daily Jam page.
And all the game's over. Need a plane, I explain it to my broker. 3 bots in the hood, top down, and ain't over. You know there's more, man, where that come from? Me and Kuda love rolling back to back in one. See, the names have all changed since I've been around. But the game ain't the same since I left out. You know you like that. You know you like that. You know you like that.
Hey.
You know you like that. You know you like that. You know you like that. See, I rep the most hot, still I'm the most fly. I win so much they wanna know who I'm coached by. Every day approached by chicks when I was multi. Wanna give me so side, but I'm like, don't try. I see the hisses and the disses when I go by. But see the misses on my wrists when I float by. Self-control and I can't tell you no lie. Trying to find a soulmate.
Yeah.
I make my money, man, without the coca. Living la vida without the loca. I'm down south, so they show me country love. And I ain't even country thug. The people give me daps and hugs, so it must be love. And I love the country grub. It feel good to hear people singing welcome back. And I ain't even selling the track, cause I'm that Harlem cat.
Okay.
Since I've been around, but the game ain't the same since I left out. You know you like that. You know you like that. You know you like that. You know you like.
We need to give a disclaimer to Facebook.
Already did.
Mark Zuckerberg, you know we don't own this shit.
No,
we're not claiming that we do.
Hey, you remember when Boosie's called him Mark Zuckerberger?
Little Boosie. But little Boosie got red though.
No.
Recently.
But right, he did. But so remember what happened was his Instagram got shut down.
Right.
And basically he was like, "This is how I feed my family, man."
Yeah, he did. I remember that.
Mark Zuckerberger, we need to talk.
Mark Zuckerberger. We need to talk.
We need to talk. But he got it back. He got it back.
That's right.
Speaking of getting
welcome.
it back.
What's up, Facebook family? It's been a minute, man.
It has been a while.
It has been. We don't go live often. We've gotten requests to go live more too. We probably should really consider that.
Like what, 3 or 4 times? Like
yeah,
major. Like we did.
No, I think twice. I thought it was only twice.
Maybe it's this will be our 3rd one then, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Welcome, people. Got like 10 viewers. Welcome on in. We're gonna talk a lot today. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We even did like a whole pre-production meeting and everything.
But we're not gonna talk long though.
We want to get you back to your regularly scheduled program.
It's Wednesday night.
But what happens Wednesday night?
People got to go to Bible study, man.
That's true.
It's Bible study night in the Baptist church, at least.
It's 7:00. Bible study should be over.
No,
it's almost 8:00. What you mean it started at 7?
What church you go to?
AME.
Black people. Oh, see, that's the problem.
African Methodist.
No, you got to go to a Baptist church, and it starts at 7-ish.
See, we try to be on time.
Shout out to all of my Black Baptist Church people. Hopefully, see, they probably just now starting. We hopefully
cutting
you
into
catch
their
the end.
time.
Yeah, hopefully you catch the end of our little broadcast. But welcome everybody, man. This is we want to welcome people back. We are excited because we're about to start season number 3 of the podcast, the Daily Jam podcast.
Oh man,
That's exciting.
Yeah, man, we are. I know I'm excited. We've been working hard, even in this COVID pandemic, changing systems, changing lives.
You've been working hard, or you've been hardly working. It's a difference, Jamal.
Listen, I'm the hardest working man in America.
Look, but that's the dope ass t-shirt you got on.
Dope,
First of all,
dope t-shirt.
I want to give Jamal a shout out for that shirt. Show everybody. What you see? Those are the classic Jigga Man
and
Iceberg Slim.
And I will say that anytime the conversation comes up about how do you rank Jay's albums, I leave the conversation because it's hard for me to do. And I know that wasn't in the show notes, and I really don't care.
Yeah, you're right. I'm about to.
Yeah.
As Adrian is looking.
My camera off.
Right. Yeah, but shout out to Socially Graphic though. You can find Socially Graphic on Instagram and on Facebook, who made that shirt. Adrian has a pretty cool one that will be coming soon.
Yeah, it'll be here tomorrow or the day after, I believe. I got 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
You call that cool though?
Yeah. Yes, Springsteen. We're not gonna get into this right now
no,
because that's a lot of stuff we can get into. But yeah, Springsteen has a new album out called Letter to You. Go listen to it now. Apple Music and audio platform.
Damn,
you want to rewind that and slow it down?
I'm good with it. Bruce Springsteen has a new phenomenal album out called Letter to You. It's available on all streaming platforms. Go listen to it right now on Apple Music, and there's a documentary on Apple TV. It's fantastic, fantastic.
We just lost 17. We just lost 17 people who were live when he said that. Damn.
What's
Come on back,
Adrian. I was gonna call you because I saw it on Apple TV. And I kind of thought about watching it. Then I thought about who I really was. And, yeah,
it's a good documentary. If you're a fan of music, it's a good documentary. So
I didn't see the documentary, but I did listen to the album on my walk the other day. It actually was a very, very. I was impressed. I'll say this. I can see why you are a huge fan of Bruce. I really can. I didn't understand it before, but I listened to the album. I was like, okay, I can see this. Yeah,
but V said in the Facebook chat, bye. Like
you said that because y'all off topic
and
already.
Threw up the deuces.
We 10 minutes into this and we ain't even got to number 1 on the show notes.
Oh well.
Who said? Oh, did she really throw up the deuces? Okay,
she threw up the deuces gone.
Sorry, she's a Visa hater. She doesn't like it because I'm a Virgo. She literally hates all Virgos.
She hates all Virgos?
I'm not a Virgo, so she don't hate me.
Why? I know, but she just thinks that all Virgos, there's something wrong with like every one of them. But anyway, we're here to talk about a couple of things or a few things here real quick. One, we want to really talk about our new season that's approaching. We're excited about that. Season number 3, man. Just what, just over a year and a half ago, we started this podcast thing, and now we're already in season 3. So that's really exciting. But what y'all been doing since we ended season 2? Since we ended season 2 a few months ago, like what's everybody been up to?
Work.
Right. We still been working.
Lots and lots of work on behalf of children and families across the country and here in Baltimore. It's been a lot of work. And truth be told, I've actually been up to a lot of watching this election. This is like the Super Bowl if you're a political science junkie. So getting to the finish line and all the debates and all the crazy rallies and everything that's going on in Washington. This has been a very interesting election cycle. This
has been your nerd porn, huh?
Yes.
You've been excited. And we're going to talk a lot about it, but before we do, anybody vote yet? Anybody take place the early voting?
I voted.
Got it right here. I voted this morning.
Took me 45 minutes. What day was that? We were texting. Well, we text every day. But yeah, I think it was like Monday or Tuesday. I did Monday.
Okay. That's
pulled
just
out
like
my
standing in line at a
ballot
club.
last night. I pulled it out last night. I reviewed all the amendments. I already knew how I was voting because I already reviewed those amendments. And I had a method of voting when I went to the booth. If it was going to affect me as a future politician, whether I was a mayor or a governor, I voted against it.
Wow. Wow.
Because it restricted my power of the office, and so I voted against it. But if it was going to help the city of Baltimore as a whole or the state of Maryland as a whole, I voted for it. But it was a very easy process. They actually voted downtown at Camden Yards at the Orioles Park at the baseball field. There's a restaurant.
Nobody really cares where you voted.
I do. I care. And I got my little official sticker. My flag is a little crooked though, but it was awesome.
Your flag is always crooked.
I love voting. Love voting.
I have not voted yet. There are 2 more days in the that I can vote for early voting. Then I'll have to wait to November the 3rd, in which I will actually not be in town.
now.
I will not be in town on November 3rd. I think
Right,
they're
so-
closed like right now. They close
so
at 7. Yes, so I'll have tomorrow.
You get up every morning.
Tomorrow, should I go
vote.
before or after our presentation tomorrow?
Go tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. I
tomorrow
went this morning at 7.
Yeah, that's not
Once
good.
you're in line, the lines actually move. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I sent pictures to you guys. The line was wrapped around the building twice, but still got through pretty fast. So, man, take your
Okay. I'm
tail.
still, I haven't decided. Is there going to be? I need another debate. I haven't decided who I wanted to vote for.
No, you don't need another debate.
Season 3. I want another repeat of like the first debate. The second debate was boring to me. But anyway, season 3. What's season 3 going to be about? That's what we're here to talk about a little bit.
Well, because we are in a pandemic and because there's so much going on with our young people learning virtually at home, we thought that we'd love to tackle a lot of topics in this new virtual world. And so we're going to be covering a lot of topics with teens in the virtual world and that online learning, but not more importantly online learning, but online social media as well as online social anxiety. I've noticed a trend, especially with mine, is there was a trend in the beginning to not have your cameras on. And so getting to know your students, and we talked a lot about this offline and in our text threads about how young people, their entire social world has been interrupted because they are so much of how they form who they are and their personalities is formed at school. And because they can't be at school, this has literally, created a 180.
Now I tell you, I've heard some of those, some of those kids on the other end of the screen. One said, the question was, why don't you have your screen on? And he answered, because I got a headache, B. And then he was like, shut the fuck up. And I was looking like,
That's a little intense.
It was. But you're talking about possible, I think it's the second or third grader.
Right. Welcome back, V. Thank you for joining us again.
Yeah. Someone said, Kat Dawn said, I'm a teacher and I love it.
The virtual learning. So Kat, does that mean you want to go back to in person, or you prefer like a hybrid?
Yeah, let us know, Kat. What you think?
Because I'm interested. I'm interested to hear rather why you really like being virtual.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I think that there is something that as adults, and the autonomy that we can kind of create working from home and doing things virtually has an appeal to us. But I do think that, and I think that's why we're kind of created season 3, that I don't think that it's the same appeal for young people. I think that they are struggling probably a lot more. While we have adjusted for the most part to this new normal, I think that young people really are struggling. And so I think season 3 will kind of get into that. So not only will we talk about like virtual learning and how they kind of do that, but like Adrian talked about, even their personality development and how that could be different and stifled. I think I've seen more kids or more teens depressed today,
correct,
than I've ever had before. And I think even, there have been some research about how the numbers are kind of going up for a variety of reasons, and how social media impacts that. And, so we got some really exciting shows lined up for you guys. Where could people listen to season 1, 2, and upcoming season 3, which I think we will start our first official, this is kind of like a pre-show, but our first one was going to be the Thursday after the election, right? The 5th, November 5th, I think we're recording.
Thursday after the election,
Yep. And they can find us on really wherever you listen to your streaming music, Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcast. There's some other smaller ones that I don't really know about.
And some of the other ones. wherever you listen to your podcast or your music, you can find our podcast and listen to the previous seasons and the upcoming season.
Yep. And for those of you who are like really, really cheap and don't have a streaming service, because there are some people who listen to their music, you know, the Pandora free station or YouTube,
Spotify
YouTube,
free.
Yeah, the free, yeah. You can go to either anchor.com, I think, and find us.
Anchor.fm.com, yeah, or .fm.
Anchor. Yeah. Or you can go to our website, the220exp.com. Go to the Daily Jam podcast, and you can launch the podcast from our website as well. Yeah. So we're excited about it. It's going to be good.
Yes. So just quick before we move on to the election, I saw Kat posted that their students who normally would not show up to school in person are showing up online. So I actually will concede that point and understand where you're coming from there. And V talked about concern about suicide and depression in preteens, which is very, very real. I don't think the results will be known until far from it, until maybe even until next year, after the first full year of online learning. But yeah, I believe you're absolutely right that this new virtual learning is very different.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. I think we'll definitely see some impact. Yeah, V does a lot of work in mental health and the healthcare field and stuff like that. And yes, I did see The Social Dilemma, which is actually a great piece on Netflix. And I'm sure that we will talk a lot about that when we talk about how social media has impacted, if it's helped or hurt young people during this pandemic. So yeah,
we may do a two-part like we did with the Gabriel Fernandez situation. So for those of you who have not listened to season 2, we did a special 2-part episode on the Gabriel Fernandez story, which was out of Los Angeles, California. It's a documentary on Netflix. We watched it, and then we had an expert who ran a large state child welfare agency come on and answer some questions about it from her perspective. So we may take a look at Social Dilemma and do that same thing. That was a very nice episode that we did. So go listen to it. 2-part episode. Again, just another plug in there about how often we tackle.
There's another thing about that too. The flip side of it is those kids that don't have computers can't get to the libraries. Like they're also seeing a lot of kids that aren't even showing up for school. So
yeah, particularly like in California, I just saw a report there. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Yeah, a lot. So they're even there in some states there are more kids who are missing school than prior, and so some of the assumptions is that it may have to do with people in low income areas who don't have either the equipment or the Wi-Fi, and like Jamal said, you can't even go to like public spaces, can't even go to sit in Starbucks anymore, and use their free Wi-Fi, or Chick-fil-A. That's what I used to do.
I saw a picture of a student who actually walked to school and laid down because the school has Wi-Fi, and so I believe it was a male student. He walked to school and set up his little chair and his little laptop
right next to the building,
right next to the building, so he could use it. So
I used to shout out to Sherry Oliver, who is a big fan of the Daily Jam and loves when we go live and doesn't think that we go live enough. So this is for you, Sherry. We see you. Thanks.
We see you. We see you. We see you.
That's right. Talk about it, Adrian. All right, so let's get into this nerd porn and get Adrian all super excited, and
that's what he's about to
get all worked up and stuff like that. Is that lotion, Adrian?
and as usual, we're off the rails already.
Oh my god.
I am a political science junkie. I love the political process. I love election season. I especially love presidential election season because that's when most of the populace tunes in. But as someone who's even tunes into the off season, and of course, because of the candidates that we have running for office, this has been a very interesting election year, to say the least.
Well, and I'll say this because you said it earlier, Adrian, about it being a political science junkies like dream. There's people that aren't political science that this is their thing. Like I enjoy it. I'm just not as into it as you.
Yeah, it's like entertainment to me. I'm entertained by it. I don't take it as serious as some people.
Yeah, like I would like, and just for our viewers out there who are listening, just to give you an idea of how much I consume this information. Last week, and Jamal and Michael know this, I don't answer their text messages until at least 9 a.m. because they are ridiculous. But last week, Jamal called me because his son had some constitutional questions for a document that he had to fill out. And I actually answered the phone before 9 a.m. to help answer those questions.
So yeah, because we don't ever call each other. So, if you call, that's something.
It seems like, who in jail?
First of all, what? Right, exactly. That's probably what he thought, First of all, why didn't he Google it? And secondly, I'm going to do what the dude on the radio did, said after he played the song WAP. He said, I dare you to tell your kids what WAP stands for. So Jamal, I dare you to tell Lonnie what WAP stands for.
No, so along those same lines, because Adrian and I had this conversation too, because the conversation was around impeachment. Mm-hmm. And what was, impeachable offenses, and why did President, who was the last person that got impeached? So I said Bill Clinton.
He said, that's not true.
It wasn't?
No, the last person to get impeached was Donald Trump.
No, before.
Oh, before. I was about to say, because technically from a legal standpoint, Donald Trump has been impeached. Yeah.
Right. So he said, I told him Bill Clinton. He said, well, Dad, why did he get impeached? I said, he lied to the American people.
Which is what did he lie about, Dad?
He didn't answer.
I mean, that is the true answer why he got impeached. But why did he lie about? Is the real question.
So I put it on Facebook, and a lot of people kept mentioning The Devil in a Blue Dress,
which is actually a good movie by Denzel Washington, which I started a long time ago.
Which is very unfair to that young lady to blame her.
I know.
That is true.
How are y'all gonna blame Monica Lewinsky?
No, I wasn't blaming her. I'm just saying that was some
your friends. You need better friends, Jamal.
I need friends.
Everybody on Jamal's Facebook friends list who said that, shame on you for blaming a woman. Misogynistic friends. Anyway, all right. So let's start with the youth vote, because we are huge fans of teens. We want every adult to become fans of teens. This is really like our pre-election podcast live version show to introduce, but we also want to talk a lot about the election. Young people. So right now the voting age is 18. Mm-hmm. Should they lower it? No. Should 15, 16-year-olds be able to vote? What you think? Did you say no, Adrian?
Adrian said no, of course.
Tell why, Adrian? What's the difference between a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old?
I don't believe I believe there's a huge difference between 16 and 18. However, I will say I believe it becomes a slippery slope. That is my only opposition to it. So if we're saying that 16 is a good age to vote, then who's to say that we didn't say then now 14-year-olds should be able to vote? And so that's my main opposition to it. It's like where's the stopping point?
But wouldn't you agree though that with technology and with time, that a 16-year-old today is more aware, more informed, maybe even more intelligent than a 16-year-old 50 years ago or whenever?
I would agree that they have more access. That is true. Mm-hmm. And I believe in some instances of your argument, yes, I would believe I would be remiss if I say I wouldn't be able to make a persuasive argument that brain development hasn't changed. They just have more access to it. So, and they're inundated with technology and inundated with information at their fingertips, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they capture it and then become engaged in the political process.
True, but when it was created that at 18 a young person can vote, we were thinking that they were a full adult and their brain was fully developed. Correct. So now we know that. Yeah, we know that it's until their mid-20s that the brain is actually still active and still growing. So should we raise it to 25 then, based on your argument?
Based on
because
because I have to hold future office one day, I'm going to reserve some of the normal comments that I would normally say. I would say, based on the people that we elect and the types of people that we elect, it is very suspect and questionable as to the decisions that voters make. However, I am happy that they are engaged in the political process nonetheless.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there are actually 4 different counties in America that allow 16-year-olds to vote, and 3 of them are actually in Maryland.
I know.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
So they can vote in only local elections. They can vote in local elections.
And I actually am not opposed to that. And I'll tell you why. But go ahead, Jamal.
No, but that was going to be my point. What about just local elections?
I believe that local elections are oftentimes, actually, not even oftentimes, local elections are more important than federal elections. Now, I do not disregard that the federal government has a role to play in our lives, but when you talk about our everyday lives and the delivery of local services and the delivery of like education and how all that stuff, local elections are the most important. And oftentimes local elections have the lowest voter turnout unless it's a presidential election year. People don't care about the charter amendment to ask for a bond issue to do X, Y, and Z or so on and so forth. However, when an issue does come up and it starts making the news, then it's like, well, where'd that come from? It's like, well, it was on the ballot. Or stuff like that.
But as a 16-year-old, they pay taxes. Kat, who is
I just saw her.
Also said she's a government teacher, social studies and government teacher. She thinks that 16 is too young, and somebody loved her.
She said 18.
No, she said 18 is too young.
Yeah, she said 18.
Oh, okay. And Doris said that we should raise the voting age too. Doris Tolliver.
Really?
Yeah, she said because legal and technical adults appear to be real suspect in their ability to make educated, well-informed election decisions. My pushback to that, Doris, is as much as I love you, my pushback to that is that, or is it because we don't like the decisions that they make? Maybe they. Yes. And I believe
she got a teenager in her home right now. That's why she's hating on her daughter. Stop hating. Stop hating, Doris. It don't look good on you.
Well, look, I got a 16-year-old in my home too, and yeah, I would be.
And
scared.
He pays taxes when he was voting. I mean, when he was working, right?
Yeah, he did, but at the same time, yeah.
And don't the laws affect him that are made?
Correct, they do.
Yeah, but it's a no for me, dog. I'm sorry. No. As much as we even have the conversation, I just don't think he'll make a sound decision.
Okay, well, I'll make the final decision because both of y'all suck. Yes, absolutely. It should be. We got a lot of other stuff to talk about, so I'm not going to go too far in this. But there are people who think that if you start the voting process earlier or sooner and get them involved, that it will make people vote, longer, throughout their life. And so, like when we kind of go to our next piece, how many people actually vote, and in 2016. What they called young people is 18 to 29. So that's a pretty large range, but about 50% of young people 18 to 29 actually voted. And so the thought is that if you start them a little bit earlier because of, American government classes and civics classes and things like that, even offer credit for voting in different local and state and national elections and things like that, that will get them into the process or the habit of voting that could, continue a lot later on in life is one of the thoughts that people have.
But I believe that you can do those. I believe that you can do those. And just another fact to add into that, about 37% of eligible voters in the country are millennials and Gen Xers. So we do have a very young electorate in terms of those who vote or those who are voting. And we'll get into some more stats later about comparatively to the last presidential election, 2016. I believe that you can involve students and young people in electoral and civics process. But let's be honest with you, it's a very small fragment of society who is truly civic minded and socially engaged. Like right now, American government, if you polled high school students, is not as people's top of the list as their favorite class or subject. So it's very rare. So that's why I think that there's a huge discrepancy. I agree with you though, Mike, about getting them involved in the process earlier. I just don't know if you then give them the power per se to make decisions that have detrimental impacts on local and state elections. But I do like the fact that young people vote in local elections, especially.
I truly believe in you, young people. I actually believe in you more than most adults. I believe that you should be able to vote. No, you don't, because you don't want them to vote. You don't want to give them that.
Local elections. I'm all about incremental change. If
we ain't got time. The world is about to end. We got COVID. We ain't got time for incremental changes.
How we go to the world?
Sound like a politician that don't want shit to change. Because you have benefited from it. Let me see a minute. Kat had said something else I wanted to see her views.
Oh man, there's some great comments. Great comments coming through.
Hey, Kim Raff has joined.
I wonder though if especially because I'd wonder though if this decision or this conversation would be very, very different if we let's just play with Michael here for a second. If we continue
let's not do that.
If we continue to go down this road and we
Yeah.
allow young people to vote in a few election cycles and we find that it's skewed one way or the other, whether it's skewed all the way to the right or all the way to the left, will we then revisit this and say, hold on, let's think about this for a second? Because we change once they get involved in the process, then I think we'll see kind of where their heads are, and then I wonder if that will change based on how we are living in society.
But it's I mean, we have the electoral college that skews the national voting.
That's true.
So I mean, and I don't know that like if young people prefer one or over the other, they're still American citizens. So I mean, it doesn't really matter. They everything that happens affects them or impacts them, so that they should have a say just like anybody else should have a say.
Well, to your point, Adrian, how's it going in Maryland with those counties on the local level?
I don't live in those areas, so I can't say I'm not on the ground every day. I don't have a problem with young people voting in local elections because I believe that if you are civic minded enough to go to your local board of elections and vote, and you are a 16-year-old, when most 16-year-olds are concerned about freedom and social world, and you're out there engaged and you want to go vote for your local council person, I am all for that. And I believe that gets you prepared to begin to make those decisions at 18. But we, as parents, when we talk about this, we don't give our children full 100% adult decision-making power and authority in our households. We negotiate,
but we don't have 100%. You just vote for. That's not 100%. Just because I vote for somebody, that don't mean, number one, that they're going to win. But there is somebody, that we know that allows their 16-year-old to smoke marijuana. I mean, I'm sure somebody knows somebody that allows that to happen. But anyway, regardless, the question though is, who do you think they would vote for? Who do young people seem to, who seems to represent young people?
Bernie?
On where it depends. Bernie Sanders. Yes.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders
definitely has kind of caught the young,
like people like AOC, candidates who are very, very progressive and tout a lot of things that deal with climate change and things of that nature that concern the future of America, or the America that young people will inherit, so to speak, when we all die off as older people. I think that's true, and it's interesting because he is one of the older politicians and one of the older candidates, but he did have a huge groundswell of young Americans. In terms of the two people who are on the ballot this fall, or the two main candidates, I should say.
Right, say main.
I really honestly think it depends on where you live. So if you live in the central part of the country, or you live in a conservative town or farm country, or some of those ag cultures or oil places, I believe you are supporting the Republican ticket. If you live on the East Coast or the West Coast, I believe you're supporting the Democratic ticket. And because those parties, specific parties, are speaking to interest or how you grew up, and young people are influenced a lot about how they grew up in their communities and how the president or the economy has impacted their family and their parents. So if your parent has lost a job or something to that effect, you are deeply reflected by that. Or affected.
Well, the interesting thing, young people, at least from the 18 to 29 young people, in the 2016 election, 55% of them voted for Hillary Clinton, and 37% voted for your homie Donnie.
Who's homie?
Well, right. I meant to say this a little bit earlier as we kind of transition. We do know that Jamal is currently working with the Trump administration and has met with Ben Carson several times. Ben has tweeted about him. He has several pictures with Ben Carson.
You're wrong.
I know that the vote is a private thing and that you should never ask who should anybody votes for, but I'm wondering.
You're wrong.
And Jamal, whoever you voted for, I still love you because that is your right, bro. It doesn't even matter to me.
I say that on my status all the time.
Coming from somebody who doesn't vote.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I'm glad Jamal brought that up. For everyone listening and watching, as Michael makes all these arguments, Michael does not vote. He does not.
That is not a true statement. Tell the truth, Adrian. Tell the truth, Adrian.
No.
That is not a true statement.
And let me say this. Child welfare is a bipartisan issue.
It is.
I will work with anybody who will get things done on either side of the aisle, period. Doesn't mean I'll vote for you. But if you're in there to do good work and in there to help change the lives in your position, then I'll work with you. Bottom line.
So that's why you work with Trump, because he's
no. I work with the Department of HUD.
I'm just playing
and the
with you.
Secretary Carson.
All right. Is anybody saying anything about Adrian's lie? Him lying to me?
Nah.
That's
No, but someone did mention that the no politician should die in office, so there should be an age cap.
Now we get into ageism, and I don't know if I agree with that. I understand term limits, but to tell someone that they can't serve.
I don't agree with the age. I do agree with term limits. I don't think that they should be able to serve. Just like president, you got 2 terms and that's it. If you can't get shit done, then fuck it, get out and let somebody else try. And I think that should work for everybody. And I don't think that Supreme Court justices should be there for life, because I know that's in y'all. That's in y'all little.
Here's the thing.
It's in y'all little stupid Constitution thing, but
interesting
it's still
point
stupid.
of fact, though, Michael. I was reading the Constitution the other day when I was helping with some homework.
You see, I told you, he's a nerd.
Yeah.
Who reads the Constitution?
Yeah.
And technically, the words "serve for life" are not in the Constitution. It is interpreted that way. It does not say Supreme Court justices serve for life. It's just the way that it's interpreted. So
but I don't think that you should get a job for life. There's no other job other than like life in prison. And
speaking of Supreme Court justices, as we get ready to transition, new associate justice to the Supreme Court.
See how I did that there?
Amy Coney Barrett, and she has the potential, if she serves it for life or whatever, because of her age, she's 48 years old. She has the potential to serve at least 20 to 30 years on the court. Because of her,
to be at least 30,
more at least 30, because Ruth Bader Ginsburg was well into her 80s.
Well, and then white women don't die. Okay. White women don't die early. They don't. White women don't die. They live to like 1 billion years old, and they be ugly and wrinkly and stuff like that. I'm sorry, not all of them, but
you just
Jamal, come back to us.
You just alienated an electorate. Like.
No,
my point is opinions expressed by Michael Sanders are not those of the 220 or the Daily Jam as a whole. They are those of Michael Sanders individually.
That is true. But my point is that they have the longest life expectancy of any other population. Yes. White women live longer than men, white men.
Yes.
Can we move
on? Black men, that stuff like that. So yes, no, we moved on to our Supreme Court justice. She has been confirmed. And there are some concerns that people have. So, I mean, one, definitely she's young, and so she's going to live through the next several presidencies, or serve through the next several presidencies, unless something really, really bad happens to her. But there are other concerns about how she got confirmed. Everything from, there was a couple when Barack was kind of leaving office.
There was one.
That they would not confirm, or that they would not, have a vote on until the election, which is, political posturing. That's the game. Politics is a game, and so that. But then, kind of the same here, because they kind of, run the House and the Senate. They decided to go ahead and vote on this particular one, even though
they run the Senate situation. So
they don't run the House.
They advise and consent on judicial nominees. The interesting thing, as Mike was speaking about in terms of the new justice, is one, it was a 52 to 48 vote, which is unprecedented. Typically for Supreme Court justices, you get a bipartisan vote for them to serve on the court, because the Supreme Court is supposed to be nonpartisan. It's supposed to be just from the qualifications and the merits. Mike is also correct when he talked about when President Obama was last in office, he nominated a federal judge by the name of Merrick Garland, who was considered to be a moderate. So he's considered to be down the middle. And that was 8 to 9 months before the election, and the Republican-controlled Senate would not confirm him or even give him the hearing, the respect of a hearing. And the interesting part about that is many of the senators who were in office at that time were very vocal about why they weren't going to, and that they should wait because it's an election. You should wait till after a new president. And here we are 4 years later. The same situation came up, the same thing in terms of we're in election year, X, Y, and Z. And those same senators then came out and expressed that they were going to vote for Justice Barrett. And thus they did, and they've
been trying her record. It's been said she hasn't tried a case. So
she has not. That is true. Those are facts. She has not tried a case as she has not argued a case in front of the Supreme Court. I will say, I'm not trying to discredit her qualifications as an attorney or jurist, but some would question her qualifications to serve on the highest court. She's been a teacher for a number of years at the University of Notre Dame. I believe she's written some legal briefs and arguments, but in terms of, and I believe she was in private practice, I believe, don't quote me on that, but she has not actually tried a case as a lawyer. And she's only been a judge, an actual judge, since 2017.
Yeah. I mean, but to me, it's politics is a game, and that when you're in power, you position yourself. It's like chess, in order to kind of put yourself in the best position. So, qualifications be damned, that's not the biggest thing. I stand corrected. Doris, our friend Doris,
our official research agent of the
right. Yeah, Doris, you're hired. You're our new research person, because Adrian has failed me.
I was not about to jump into that
in a couple of areas.
I'm not about to jump into that hole with Mike. Mike is wanting to hear and spew out wrong facts. I'm not about to offend any Caucasian female people, because especially those who live in the suburbs, you are a huge voting block. I love you.
Y'all back to this?
I look forward to voting for
y'all back to this?
I'm not running.
Y'all really
office.
Made a U-turn and came back.
No, that was him. V said that she's not qualified. Period.
I didn't say I didn't know if
no, I didn't say you. I said V. I'm talking
okay.
one of the people who are listening.
V.
She said that she's not qualified. Period. Okay.
My pushback to that is, you are qualified if the president nominates you. And the reason why I said it is because Michael has made some very good points about this being politics, and about this being a political game in chess. If the president has the power to nominate anyone he wants to serve on the court, and if he holds the power in the Senate to get that nomination through, then technically anyone can be qualified, because there's actually been a lot of federal judges quietly who have been appointed to federal benches who have been deemed not qualified by the Bar Association, and they've still been appointed because the Senate pushed through their nomination.
Yeah. So watch this transition. Adrian, I noticed that you are wearing a rainbow flag watch band.
I am indeed in support.
Let him finish.
Up. Are you trying to come out on this live podcast, or Jamal, what you? I just say stuff that I mean, what? Help us to understand. Is there something that people need to know? Your daughter, your other people in Baltimore need to know, or what's
the reason why I'm wearing this band is because I knew we were doing a show, and I am a huge supporter of LGBTQ issues, and I have a lot of friends and family who are part of that community. And one of the issues that a lot of folks had with Justice Baird is that they were afraid that now that the court is very conservative and is now 6-3 to the right or to the far right, that a lot of issues that affect this community and other communities will be affected in terms of marriage equality and things of that nature. So now I knew we were going to be talking about her and talking about some of these issues. So I wore the watch band in support of that. And these are available. I also have another one. So
some of the other cases that are waiting for the Supreme Court cover healthcare, contested elections, women's rights. I mean, this is going to get interesting.
Yeah,
this is going to get interesting.
So the Healthcare Act, which also supports that, and very interesting quick fact, Pope Francis has come out for the first time and said that he believes that those who are in same-sex relationships should be able to have civil unions, which is unprecedented for the Catholic faith.
The Catholic Church, really?
That's what the Pope has said, exactly. So, and it has it here as it relates to here in the country. Amy Coney Barrett is a practicing Catholic. She talks a lot about her Catholicism, and so a lot of her critics were afraid that she is going to kind of reverse some of the decisions that have been made relating to that.
I actually like this Pope. He's on Twitter. I follow him on Twitter, and he actually says some really dope shit. Like, for real.
You follow God on Twitter too.
God is funny. God
I do, but God is not verified though. God is not, unfortunately, his or her account is not verified But the Pope,
they took it away.
Pope, I've actually retweeted some. No, it never was. They never, and because whoever's behind the account will, talk about that often, and we'll say, this person is verified, and how come they won't verify me or whatever. But Pope Francis actually, I really appreciate the dude. He said some dope shit. Actually, if you remember a few years ago when Pope Benedict quit, when he gave God a 2-week notice and be like, I'm out. I was thinking about applying for that position, but I didn't want to move to Rome. I'm not Catholic, so that probably would have been somewhat problematic, but I could have acted Catholic for that position.
You also say you are a citizen of France.
Yeah. That's why I'm not. Yeah, that's why I wouldn't move there, to the Vatican. But I thought about it, because I was like, I wanted to help God out. That was just kind of wrong when Benedict was like, God, I think did he give him 2 weeks, or did he just quit on a day? I think he gave him 2 weeks.
I don't think he just quit.
Has God ever? Anybody ever gave God 2 weeks? Speaking of God, did y'all see my post earlier today?
No.
My biblical loopholes post.
No. Oh yes.
It's not in the show notes.
It's not. So let's continue.
Talking about Solomon.
All right.
Anyway,
so back in March, when COVID kind of first came on the scene, I thought, I don't know what you guys thought, I thought it would be a very temporary thing. I had no idea that 8-9 months later we would still be in the thick of this with not even looking to see when it would actually be over.
Right.
And so of course we had a relief package that the Senate had passed and the president had signed. When anybody remember which month that was? Probably that was April, May, probably May. Yeah. Late spring or whatever. And then of course there was another one on the table because that wasn't sufficient. That $1,200 went like that for most people.
Yeah. Let's think about it. For 6 cents a day, you too can feed someone in America.
That was a good one.
Stretch it out. Stretch $1,200 out to now. Come on, man.
It's about 6. You said, wow, 6. Yeah. There's not much you can do with 6 cents a day. That's a good point. But anyway,
a meme that's been going around about how much money or resources other countries have given its citizens, and of course, America is typically at the bottom in terms of developed wealthy nations. In terms of our our one-time payment of $1,200, and there's been countries, other Western developed countries, who pay their citizens on a regular basis as they try to get through the pandemic.
Canada's giving their citizens $2,000. It's like $2,000 a month.
But I understand the argument that this is a large country with like 300+ million in terms
350.
Yeah, so it was kind of hard for that to be sustainable. And those packages that passed back in the late spring totaled like $3.5 trillion.
Yeah,
which is debt.
But the most of that went to businesses,
correct,
not to the American citizens.
And those if they would have just split,
Yeah, but if they would have split that between people, I think people would have been, a lot better off. And V, somebody said, Kat said she saw mine and she responded to my, yes, Kat, you're a hater. You don't believe in the Bible. I'm just saying what the Bible says. I don't make the news. I just report it. That's all.
So interesting enough, just recently, Governor DeWine here in Ohio said that he is urging our House and Senate to pass a $5 billion package for businesses. And if passed, then for businesses. So I mean, we have a lot of businesses that have closed down and that are on the verge of closing.
Yeah.
So he recognizes they need support. So he said checks could go out as early as December. If
I believe the average cost would be like $19,000 per business. That would be like the average check if everything goes through. So it's actually would be a huge help.
I'm actually upset at the state of Ohio. I'm upset at the state of Ohio.
Can we not?
I'm not going to get into it. I'm just letting y'all know that I'm upset. And so the whole state could go bankrupt and we can have 49 for all I care.
No, we're not about to do that.
Now at this point.
Right. Not today.
I'm just saying.
But if you're out there, if you
Sixto, welcome Sixto.
Oh yeah. What's up, Sixto?
What's going on?
But if you're out there and you've
to
had
see
a
you,
small
bro.
business or your family's been affected, we do feel for you, honestly. It's a tough time, and unfortunately, the federal government won't be doing anything anytime soon because the Senate has adjourned until after the election. So there's no new relief coming. And one of our good friends, Deb, shout out to Deb. I don't know if she's watching or not, but shout out to Deb. She put in one of our text threads about the airline industry. The airline industry that I fly all the time is going to cuts in terms of furloughs, but actual pay cuts because that's how much they're hemorrhaging. I think they reported a loss of like over $1 billion. So all industries, all restaurants, big and small, are really, really suffering during this pandemic. And the relief is not going to be there anytime soon, at least until after the election.
So Southwest was good. Southwest was good about leaving that middle aisle open, and there was a report that said that by December, they were going to fill the plane up again. So that's probably why.
Yeah, Delta too. They've lost a huge amount of money. But our hearts go out to everybody who's kind of lost their job and who's struggling. We know that there are a lot of people, out here, that are really kind of struggling and have been for several months now. I have to. I'm an optimist by nature. I have to believe that at some point it's going to get better. And tough times don't last. I know it's a cliche, but tough people too. And I think that'll just kind of make us stronger. It'll make us tougher. It'll make us better. Hopefully it'll make us more concerned about our neighbors. And so those of us who are doing, fairly well or have been able to kind of maintain, reach out to some people and things that you can kind of do to help. I think that's what really makes a community. So
especially
our hearts
as holiday season approaches. This is I think like Christmas season during a pandemic, I think will be unlike any other for those who have lost their jobs, their livelihoods, their businesses. And so again, tough times. But as Doc said,
can I say this? The Senate takes more breaks than a smoker. I mean,
Jabal is killing the one-liners tonight.
Think about this though. They come back in November. After they come back in November, they work. They work up until Thanksgiving. Then they're off until
Thanksgiving recess.
Thanksgiving recess. Like, really, it's a lame duck session that they have for 3 weeks. And we're only hoping for the next COVID package to pass in those 3 weeks. It hurts the American people.
People who know me know that I'm not a huge fan of the political process. I know that this is the politics. This is the game that we have. And, people say, play the game that you're in. And, I believe in more changing the game than trying to play the game well. But I think it was Warren Buffett, or there was an email or something going around a while ago, and it was credited to Warren Buffett. I don't know if he actually said that, but his or whoever it was said that the way that you kind of change this is that that if the Senate or the House can't balance the budget, then none of the folks who are in there are allowed to run for re-election. So they get one term to actually do it. If they can't do it, I think it was like a 3% above or below or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. But they're not like allowed. So basically, if they're not effective, versus because politics is really about money. So it's hard if you don't have money to run and win, even in local elections. Much less national elections and things like that.
I believe that budgets should be balanced at the state level, but I don't believe that at the federal level, just because the federal government is a federal overseer of 50 states and of course territories, and then like if there's some conflicts overseas, that like the ability to borrow and have debt is important. However, I do like Ohio is one of my home state in terms of that there is a constitutional amendment. I believe it is in the Constitution that the state of Ohio has to balance its budget. Now that comes at a cost though, because depending on your political affiliation, if you get a very conservative governor that comes in and restricts and cuts, and the next term you get a very liberal governor and he comes in and spends every 4 years, or excuse me, every 2 years, because Ohio's on a biennial budget, that still has to balance out. And so programs and people and organizations suffer greatly. And this pandemic has put a huge strain on local and state governments, a huge strain. And that affects all of you out there who are listening to us, because that affects local and city services. And so as the winter months get here, if you live in one of those states where access to snowplow, stuff like that, like right now, because of the pandemic here in Baltimore, we have a huge problem with trash and recycling collection. Like you wouldn't like you don't stuff that you don't normally think about on a regular basis, like someone coming to pick up your garbage. That is hugely affected in terms of this pandemic, where we don't have enough employees or we don't have enough resources just to come and pick up trash.
Well, Baltimore's always been a nasty city anyway. Always stinky.
I'm logging off.
It's always been come on now. It's always been a nasty, stinky city anyway.
It's
down by the harbor.
Very gritty city.
Oh my god.
Nasty or stinky, very gritty city. It's the
okay. Nasty, gritty. You're partially syllables.
It is the Wire for real.
Anyway, that's she said it's the Wire for real. All right.
Appreciate you, Love William. First time checking out the show, you said a lot of valuable education info. We appreciate that. So if it's the first time, make sure you like the page and subscribe. And
so Love, let me real quick.
Okay.
Love is a young man who I met in Alabama who recently received one of our FY vouchers. He's an alum, and he's very knowledgeable and motivating. So shout out to Love Williams.
Love Williams. It's that's the one that you were down in Alabama with on the virtual thing. Yeah, I remember him. He had some really cool things to say. All right, couple more things before we let the folks go.
They ain't got nothing better to do.
That's true.
They do. They need to get back to their lives, families, and so I will be the responsible one.
Yeah,
we appreciate
exactly. That's what I said.
With us.
So one of the things that's I think encouraging for some folks, I guess depending on what side of the aisle you on, is the early voting numbers seem to be historic at this point in time, and particularly in comparison to 2016 and even 2012 numbers. You guys remember what those were?
Not the 2012 numbers, but I just went back to look at 2016 numbers. So for those of you out there listening, there have been up to this point 64 million votes cast and counted in the United States.
Wait, Adrian, hold on. Before you continue, can y'all see my dimples? Look like I got a dimple when I do that. Look, you see right there. Y'all like the dimple? I've always wanted dimples. I'm sorry. Anyway, back to the numbers.
I was about to mute this fool. I was really about to.
I forgot. This is your Zoom, not mine. I was about to say, you can't mute me. I'm the host.
Right.
Why can't this be one of the Sunday calls that we have where his internet has gone out and he's like completely disappeared?
No, right. What happened was my computer died. Like I never used the laptop, so it was
because we was both sitting there like, where'd he go?
Right.
But if Mike want to talk about dimples, I got
wait. Can we?
Anyway, 64 million people have voted.
Holes.
Watch yourself. I got these from my grandma, and I'm an orphan, so don't talk about me. 64 million people have voted in the election up until this point. And to give you an idea of what that means, that's up 20 million from just 4 years ago. That's up 20 million votes from just 4 years ago.
That's amazing.
And that represents 48% of the total number that people voted of all of 2016 in terms of the general election. So we're almost at half the number of people have voted in this election already, and we haven't even reached election day.
Yep.
No, so if you haven't voted,
that's encouraging
out there.
Yeah. Or not. I said the dimples because no, I'm sorry. I said I talked about the dimples because my big bro Lou Williams is on, and
you are the most unfocused.
I
really is. It's like
no, I'm connecting with the audience. What's up, Lou?
Did you say your brother? So that means you're already connected to him. You already know him,
right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yes, so you don't need to connect with him virtually because you already know him. If it'd be different if it was a stranger out there. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah,
I've always loved his dimples, and he was always able to get the pretty girls because he had dimples.
Lord Jesus.
Yeah, I'm not touching that.
This is why young people couldn't vote, because their minds are focused like that. Mike has the mind of a 16-year-old.
I think.
But see, you can say the same thing.
People will be in the voting booth and be like, I remember seeing him on a campaign commercial. He had nice dimples. Yes.
Well, but people, that's how people vote.
No. Mike is going to be.
People do vote. Now, didn't they say there was a study that showed that, particularly like since the television age, that the tallest candidate has always won, and so people vote.
George Bush was not the tallest. John Kerry was taller than him, so no, that doesn't.
Well, John Kerry really won, though.
No,
he really won Florida because he did, but
he did.
the hanging chads and all of that other kind of stuff. Yes, he really did win. and he won the popular vote. But anyway, regardless.
So
wait,
Hillary.
whoa. Bill Clinton
So
was
did
shorter
Hillary.
than George Bush.
No,
Yes, he was.
which
George.
no.
Re-election.
The daddy
Yes.
Bush, the grandfather.
Yes.
I don't think so. George, how tall is George Bush? No, that's not. I don't think that's.
Now, if
true.
Adrian knows
Anyway,
that, he really is a nerd.
but he's just saying that just to argue on this. He
I know,
don't really
but Adrian
He's
loves to
he's
argue.
looking it up right now. Look at him. He's
Right.
looking it up right now.
Because I am absolutely.
Just like to argue. But he's not right. I'll believe it if Doris comes on and tells us that. But anyway, a lot more people have already voted, so that's exciting. So this may be a record year for people voting, and
If you voted for Kanye, just wink in the chat box.
I told you, George H.W. Bush was 6'2". Bill Clinton was 6.
that's
I
not-
told you. I know
Well,
what I'll be talking about, man. I watched the
but
debate.
on stage, Bill Clinton looks taller.
Anyway,
So anyway, I mean, the study was done prior to that election, but it basically said that people are more people will. Okay, let me say this: they said that the taller and the more handsome of the two, and everybody knows
that
and so people vote based on how a person looks, and so
they vote on President
George Bush
before
is
2016.
ugly. George Bush
Before
was ugly.
Before 2016.
Sisto said, "I want in on this."
Before
George Bush was ugly. Rest his soul.
Before
wait a minute, is he
2016, we
dead?
did vote on
No, he-
people's looks and personality and leadership.
Did you
skills.
say, "Is he dead"?
Who?
The daddy died, right?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I saw it. I said rest his soul. I thought he was dead, but then I kind of forgot because I called him ugly. I said he was.
Pat said Madison
uglier.
was only.
So you have
5'4".
offended white males. You have offended white females. Who else do you want to offend tonight before we leave?
You tell me. I'm ready. I'm equal opportunity.
He said, "I got time."
Come on.
Cuz
Remember the video we put in there? The young lady from the council meeting. Michael is being her right now. He's insulting everybody.
yes,
No.
Yes.
No. She.
Yes.
She is my hero, though. She
Oh, my
is
God.
my hero. She went in.
There-
What did 60 say?
he said, "I want in on
On
this."
this.
Oh yeah.
He said he was a guest appearance. We about to go.
Yeah. Can we bring people like live or like?
Yeah,
can we
it's
bring people
Zoom.
in?
We
That's
just send him the link.
okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
true.
well, we can like next
That-
time. We can kind of
Michael, how can you ask that question when we've literally crashed other Zoom meetings?
We have.
I mean,
thanks to you.
well, I forget that we're on Zoom. I'm thinking we're on Facebook Live. So
We
I
are.
was thinking
Yes.
that, not necessarily.
But we are.
So I was
Facebook
thinking that,
Live.
but not the Zoom.
So we'll have to have
Right,
Sixto
I mean, I
show
know
later. Shout out to Sixto. Sixto does a lot of
Yeah.
great work. He leads an
Yeah.
organization called Think of Us, which does a lot of work in the tech
young
and
people.
information sector
Okay.
for young people. So shout out to him. And right now they're giving away some grants.
$1,000. Yep.
Yeah, so
Micro
go,
grants.
go Google Think of Us, go apply. Sixto's organization is doing some amazing work out there. So
Yeah.
Yes.
Thinkofus.org.
We got. Can we have him as a guest this year?
Yeah.
We should do a
Guest on
podcast,
this? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. 60, we want you on a guest on our podcast, season 3. So we'll be getting in touch with you.
All right. So just to kind of wrap up this section about the early voting. So I kind of looked at and broke down some numbers. So the country is divided into 3 areas. So you got the areas for Trump, you got the areas for Biden, then you got the battleground states, which is where the candidates are crisscrossing, up until election day. So right now, in terms of the early voting, for those who have voted early, 24 million votes have been cast for the Democratic ticket, which is Joe Biden, and 9.2 million for the incumbent Donald Trump, who's on the Republican ticket. Now, it may sound like there's a huge discrepancy. Please keep in mind that a huge swath of Republican voters actually vote on election day. So what we call the red wave, which is what comes through. So don't let the numbers skew you, no matter who you vote for, what matter party you subscribe to. But at that
Far from
undecided,
over.
those battleground states, there's still 31 million votes that have been cast, but they have not been made official yet. So just want to go ahead and put that out there.
Okay.
All right. So
we got the website wrong. It's www.thinkof. Is that a -us.org?
yes.
Okay. You said get it right. And I was, I just want to make sure we got it right. Sorry about that. It was Adrian's fault. He usually messes up facts and figures and all that
Excuse
kind of
me?
stuff.
All right. So we'll talk about this in our post-production meetings about how this will be a two-person show going forward.
Oh,
I would say this has been fun.
It has.
Very
Yes.
interesting. I'm
guys are
waiting.
entertaining.
I'm waiting to see the results of what we've created today
yeah.
in the last shout.
And if you think
know,
this is something, this is us on our podcast all the time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a lot more fun because we're talking about teen issues, and the three of us really are just a bunch of immature adults. So again, go
pretty
listen
much,
to the
pretty much,
podcast and all that kind of stuff. We just wanted to come over here before the election. And if you have not voted yet, please go vote between now and election day, no matter who you vote for, where you go vote. And if you need information about that, go to iwillvote.com/whatever your state is. Each state has a plan. So if it was in here in Maryland, iwillvote.com/MD or OH or GA. So please go and vote. Vote now. Some places, election day is polling places get reduced. However, if your voting place is open on election day and you are in line by the time the place closes, you are allowed to vote. So please, no matter how you vote, no matter where you vote, wherever you fall on political lines, please just go out there and exercise your right to vote. Whether you're an old, white, ugly woman, as Michael has alluded to, or if you're an
you rephrased it.
To.
I did not say
yes,
ugly. I just said that. I just said that they.
Or if you're a young millennial or Gen Zer, please go out there and vote.
Test tube, baby.
If you're tall or short, if you're fat or thin, doesn't matter. Get out there and vote. So on election night, what do you like? I kind of, can we do predictions real quick?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, Jamal, who you got? Who you rolling with? Not who you rolling. Who you think gonna win?
Who you with? Get crunk. Who you with? Yeah, to be determined.
Really, you're not gonna?
Nah.
I'm not asking who you voted for. I'm saying who do you think?
Who I think is going to win? I think it's going to be close. I think if Biden doesn't win Ohio and Texas, which it might be hard because of what he said in the last.
Biden can't win Texas. Texas is traditionally red.
Yeah,
it'll be hard to win Texas, but Ohio and Florida.
He really ain't winning now because he said, what he said about the oil industry.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pennsylvania is another one. So he has to win those successfully.
I'm not even going to repeat what Sixto just said, but go ahead. So your prediction is Biden. Is who you're thinking is going to win.
Yeah. Okay. Also, Annie, I live in a nice part of Baltimore, and Baltimore is nice across the board. So don't be calling this city nasty. Thank you very much. The second thing is
that's not what the president said.
That's right.
That is
yeah.
He did. He did. Say
he sure did.
He did. The polls show that the incumbent is losing right now, which is the president, and that Joe Biden has a lead in most of the polls. However, that same thing happened in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So my prediction is that it's going to be a very, very close election, because also in some of those other polls that I've been looking at and researching, it shows that there's some slight subtle differences here. So I think that Joe Biden is going to win, but it's not going to be a landslide as some people are predicting. I think it's going to be very, very small. I also think that it's not going to be decided on election night, because I believe that the president, if he does indeed lose, I think he's going to contest the election. Depending on how tight the race is. So I think that this is going to be very, very interesting to watch. It's similar to what Jamal said about, certain states. If the president doesn't win some of the states he won the last time, especially in the Midwest, then I don't think he stands a chance of getting reelected. I also believe that his campaign messaging has not been that great these last few weeks, because he's taken his focus off what most people are focused on, which is the coronavirus and pandemic. Again, I'm not trying to shape your view on who you want to vote for, why you want to vote for him. But because the pandemic is at the front and center of people's minds, the president has not focused on that and continues to say that it's something else, and that typically hurts someone who's an incumbent.
Yeah, he continues to play to his base.
Correct.
I agree. I think it's going to be close. I think that the numbers, the early voting numbers, are deceiving. I think that the polls, the 10-point, 12, 11-point lead that Biden has is deceiving. I think it will be a lot closer. I think, and I really hope that I'm wrong. I think that Trump will win, not because he deserves to win necessarily, but because I'm afraid that certain parts of America, doesn't think that a female should be at that level of office.
That's a whole nother Oprah.
That's a whole
I mean, it really is. And but that was my only concern with him choosing her as a running mate, that I thought that and I really hope that I'm wrong on this, but I thought that almost sealed his fate of
But John McCain elected Sarah Palin.
Well, and I think that's something we definitely can get into. Yeah, they did lose,
but they lost.
Yeah, they lost. I don't think they lost because of Sarah Palin, though.
Well,
you don't think so?
What?
The woman who can see Russia from her backyard. I think Annie, I did say it's nasty, and Baltimore. I've been going to Baltimore for 20 years. It's nasty.
I mean, I think it's good. I think it's something to talk about next week when we come back after the election. I think we need to touch on the Electoral College and the popular vote.
I think that's what's going to win it. If the president wins the election, I think that's going to Michael's point, is because typically those who are supporting Trump aren't very vocal about supporting Trump.
Right.
Is what happened the last time. And the president did not win the popular vote the last time. He won the Electoral College. Hillary Clinton won 3 million more votes than the president did. And also when it comes to representation in Congress, there are the people who are in power right now represent less people than those who are in the minority, if that makes sense. So it's a minority majority rule. So conservatives control the Senate right now, and conservatives control the White House. Those people who are on the Republican side of the aisle actually represent less of the U.S. population than those who are on the Democratic side of the aisle. So that's very interesting and telling when the election comes up.
Kat said you cannot compare Harris to Palin.
I'm not comparing Harris to Palin.
That's what
I'm comparing the decision of the top of the ticket to select a woman to be on the bottom of the ticket. Yeah. But I do believe that women in politics is needed and is awesome. But it does, when you get to that federal election, I still think that Senator Harris had to walk a fine line and try to navigate a male-dominated world in politics.
What does that say, that the Republican ticket put a woman on the ticket before the Democratic Party?
I don't know if that is true, because Sarah Palin is not. I don't know if it's the second or the third time. I need to check my records on that in terms of how many women have been on.
I mean, as far as a major party though, like the
major party.
Yeah, major party. Yeah. Because we know that women have. Shirley Chisholm had ran for president.
I think the independent ticket right now, the top independent ticket has a woman.
But nobody knows.
If you look at a lot of cities and a lot of states, there are tons of women in leadership. In terms of governors and mayors, and not just like small town mayors, but we're talking like running major cities. The mayor of DC is a woman. The governor of Michigan is a woman.
Atlanta
Keisha
Lance Bottoms.
Yes. Stacey Abrams, who was very close to becoming
we got the prettiest mayor too.
Governor, first woman governor in the U.S. and the South. Yeah.
Yes, she was close.
Very close.
No cigar. But we got the prettiest mayor.
I knew you were gonna say that shit again. I knew it.
It's not a vanity project on behalf.
Is it not a fact?
I will say I am happy to report that every time I go to Atlanta, Mayor Bottoms is there to greet me, and that just speaks to our friendship.
She greets everybody in the airport, Adrian.
But it's something. It's just something about me specifically. Like, she looks directly at me and says, "Adrian, welcome to Atlanta." Like she does that every single time.
She does that to everybody.
Yeah,
it's a mural.
We love you, Keisha Lance Bottoms.
The Honorable Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms.
The Honorable Mayor Keisha Lance Sanders. We love you.
Oh, really?
How do I log off this thing? Wait a minute.
What are we doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be.
Does not the Bible say, speak those things that are not as though they were?
Don't
be mad at me. Don't be mad at me because I'm using biblical loopholes.
But it also says, do not covet another man's wife.
Yeah.
That was Old Testament though.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We are back at the Daily Jam.
Yeah, man, how you doing? You good? I know you like that. I know you like that. How long you been back, man? I see the girls in the club, they getting wild for me, and all the pretty chicks all wanna smile at me. These rap cats, man, they all got this style for me, and if I ever see them, man, they probably bow to me. And when this beat drop, I know they gon' lean. World debut, I know they gon' fame.